Hello, and welcome to another episode of What's on the Pile. I'm Nathan Besner, and joining me is Shane Lee,
Hey, what's up?
James Belcastro,
Hello.
Matt Wagner,
Hey, it's Wagner.
Jenner,
It's Jenner.
and our special guest, Ty Gilmer.
Greetings.
How are you doing?
I'm great. How about y'all? I'm so happy to finally be able to join everyone.
And you're from over on our favorite Twitch program, Bastards of the Universe.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, we kind of can't really call it a podcast anymore.
It is still considered a podcast. It's just not getting a recorded companion to go with it. So
It's like a vodcast.
yeah, vodka.
Yeah.
All right. Well, tonight we've got a Netflix offering with the platform. But first, we're going to discuss what haunts us with Trauma 101. The movies that triggered us, scenes we can't unsee, and the stuff that really messed us up. Movies we're genuinely scared of. Why don't we start out with our newest guest, Ty? What fucked you up?
Okay, so I may not be the best person. This is like when it's your first day at a new thing, and they're like, "So tell us what your favorite film is." And it's like, "All right, do I tell them The Last Unicorn or do I gauge them first?" But since I know all of you, I'm an animation buff, and as anyone who listens to Bastards of the Universe can attest. I mean, Snake Mountain's back there. And I would love to throw, like, The Adventures of Mark Twain, Feel a Day, Perfect Blue. Those didn't fuck me up. And of course, Plague Dogs. But Plague Dogs is a different kind of traumatic.
Yeah.
But no, I want to say the first cartoon where I went, okay, I'm done, was Now and Then, Here and There.
Oh.
Yeah. Dude.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Specifically the scene where the girl was trying to perform a medical procedure with a rock. Let's go with that.
Ah.
Yeah.
I didn't get that far.
Neither did I, actually.
That show scared me pretty early on. So.
Yeah, the cat being murdered over... I have a theme of cats in this. The cat being murdered over the intercom was pretty rough. My go-to film that I own that fucked me up was, of course, 2006's Princess, though.
Ooh, I've heard about that. But
Yeah.
I've never seen it. Yeah.
If you are not a fan of child endangerment, avoid that feature.
I will, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a theme on this podcast, actually.
It's
I'm
the
avoiding that.
story of a priest going to retrieve his niece from dire conditions and, trying to retrace the life of his now deceased sister, a porn star who went by Princess, and the organized crime and drugs that she got involved in, and how it royally just messed up the child. All in beautiful animation, and with an ending that makes you go, I'm good. I don't need to see that again. But yeah, I had that on DVD, and I initially tossed that at Besner without thinking. Oh, you want something? Here. I was like, I have to remind myself not everyone handles...
You have to gauge the robustness of somebody's calculus for filth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've found that I've become more sensitive with my age.
Same.
I did not expect that.
And having kids will do it too.
Yeah.
I was going to say, my example is specifically from that, but I think I was interrupting you, Nate.
No, I was done. I agree.
My number one for this, anytime the subject comes up, and I know it's on Jenner's list as well, is Under the Skin.
Yeah.
Which I saw that movie in the theater, not just in the theater, but in one of those deluxe with the automatic reclining seats theaters, right when they started modernizing those. And I saw the movie, and I thought one particular scene in it, namely on the beach, was really rough then. And then I had a kid. And maybe I've got my timing a bit off on this, but I discovered that since that it's slowly tapering off now that she's old enough to fend for herself. But I discovered that my mind would actively slide off of that scene. I would discover that I actually could not make myself think of that particular scene in Under the Skin, which, if you haven't seen the movie, and I'm not going to describe it, but if you haven't seen the movie, it is not a moment of terrible violence. It's a moment of terrible tragedy. and
It is. There is
pending
nothing
tragedy.
okay about that scene.
Yes,
Yeah,
but-
Jenner said to me, "You absolutely cannot watch that."
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's most of the time when people talk about traumatic cinematic experiences, they're referring to something that was horribly violent or horribly earth-shattering. This is just the implications of what is shown rather than anything that is actually shown. It is a singularly tragic moment in the film. Beyond that, I also have a handful of films that I have not seen because I am fairly certain they would traumatize me, but I own them so that I can keep an eye on them.
I will freely allow. I have been waiting for this list since you started teasing it a few weeks ago.
You speak as if they'll escape and populate in the world.
I'm pretty sure they will. I mean,
They
there's the
might.
obvious one. There's the obvious Cannibal Holocaust, which is on everybody's, the blacklist of things.
See.
There's my discovery, the one film I did watch, which got rougher and rougher and rougher, and I'm sitting there at the end, I'm like, oh my god, what was that? And it comes up from the novel by Jack Ketchum. I'm like, oh fucking hell. Because one of the other movies that is on that list is The Girl Next Door, which I know of and have not watched and probably never will. Because if you actually want to know, look up the story behind that, because it is based on a true event. And it is really awful.
I think that the real incident was also filmed with, I want to say, Catherine Keener and Elliot, then Ellen Page as, I want to say, American Murder,
Maybe.
which itself was an exceedingly unpleasant experience.
Yeah. But beyond that, I just... this is just a silly one, but when I was a kid, I had chronic ear infections, and I got tubes in my ears. And these were the old ones where you couldn't put your head underwater, so I didn't learn how to swim until I was 8, at which point I had seen all 3 of the then extant Jaws movies. And I was terrified of sharks in the swimming pool, so...
It's a valid error, actually.
Yeah.
That actually kind of ties in with mine. I have plenty of things that I avoid, and I have avoided all my life, but we were talking about seeing something when you were very young and it messing you up. My father worked on Close Encounters on the set, and so because, family pride, we got to go see it. I'm maybe like 8, I think, maybe. Oof. I don't know. And we go and see it, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And then my brother buys a Starlog magazine that says that was based on actual alien sightings. I'm like, oh my god, that could really happen. And and so ever since, I'm okay with it now. But I mean, every summer I lived 25 miles from Devil's Tower, and I was just sure the aliens were going to come and get me. So
Close Encounters is one of mine too.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's on my pile still. That was one of the first movies we added to our pile spreadsheet. I've never seen it. I own 2 copies of it.
To this day, I can't deal with tubas.
Or mashed potatoes.
I know about the mashed potatoes because of Weird Al. He did it. He parried it in UHF.
This means something.
That's right. Shane, how about you?
Well, we've done one of the movies on the podcast for me, which was Event Horizon, the singular, the most traumatizing movie-going experience of my life. But watching it now, it wasn't so bad. The other one I believe I've also talked about at length, which was Raiders of the Lost Ark, the face melting, where it went from the most thrilling, fun movie I'd ever seen to, I blame that movie for my lifetime of squeamishness when it comes to like gore and stuff like that. That single scene, that face melting scene, traumatized me. To this day, that is still my least favorite of the 3 Indiana Jones movies because it is so tainted by that experience. I actually like Temple of Doom.
That's interesting. Temple of Doom is the one that most people seem to regard as the harshest of the bunch.
Yeah, I remember. I think what happened, I watched that movie, and I watched the entire movie terrified there would be a scene as bad as the face melting, and the heart grabbing wasn't as bad. And by the end of it, I was like, oh my god, I made it. There was nothing bad. I love this movie. And I've just always had a fondness for that ever since.
I would have thought the meal scene would have gotten to you at least a bit.
No, I mean, I love that
squeamishness.
I love that scene. I'm the kind of person who will try any kind of exotic food. I mean, even to this day, I really like that scene. That even as a kid, it didn't gross me out. But other than those two movies, I have a handful of scenes that I remember. Like, we talked about this off pod last week, but Large Marge from Pee Wee's Big Adventure,
Yeah,
still my
Yeah.
favorite. My favorite
That's one
Tim
of
Burton
mine.
movie. Lots of fun, except for just that one shot.
I had to have that edited out of the VHS my mom recorded off of TV. She just edited that one part.
Oh, that's awesome. That's an awesome mom.
Mhm.
A
Did
few-
she just stand by and just hit the pause on the record as
Yep.
it happened, and then wow,
Oh,
that's
Yep.
the way you do it.
that's
There was-
wonderful, actually.
She did that for a lot of movies.
I don't know how I saw this as a kid, but this movie from the 80s, I believe, called Dead Heat, starring Treat Williams and Joe Piscopo.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
there's a scene where it's about reviving. I guess it's sort of about zombies, not quite zombies, but they can revive people. And there's this woman who, as it turns out, has been, revived, and she decomposes very quickly and is still talking as it's happening. And I remember being so traumatized by that scene. I went back and watched that movie again a couple of years ago. It looks so goofy and fake.
It's so silly.
But I remember being so terrified of that scene as a kid.
What if R.I.P.D. was good?
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah. I never saw
It's
that.
not really good. It has Vincent Price in it, which is an intrinsic form of merit in its own
that's a
right.
plus one.
Yeah.
I do have a recent one that I saw as an adult, which was the Stephen King adaptation Gerald's Game on Netflix. There's a degloving scene, which I knew about, and people talked about it. I'd read the book. I knew it was going to happen, so I braced myself for it. And as I was watching it, I literally felt sick to my stomach and had to look away. Like, that's the one, nowadays I'm still a little squeamish, but, I watch, 31 to 35 horror movies every October. I've never have to look away. Gerald's Game, I had to look away during just that one shot.
That
Um,
actually reminded me. Was it Red Dragon where Gary Oldman was in the Hannibal
That
Lecter?
was
Hannibal.
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 Okay, Hannibal. That messed me up. Man,
Yeah.
the part with the pigs. I said I had to watch it through giant sausages. Basically, my hands were over my eyes. I was like, oh God, oh God. So that's my one adult, oh no.
I mean, to this day, I won't watch Danny Boyle's 127 Hours because I've heard about the arm hacking
Oh.
in it.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
heard it's
Yeah.
horrific, and I don't think I could sit through that.
I was working in a movie theater at that time, former projectionist for everyone playing home. So I got to hear the audio of the arm cutting scene, and anyone who has seen it, the intensity of that music, well, I got to hear the bass line of it, so no matter where I was in the booth, I would know at what point the arm was being cut off because the booth was vibrating.
Oh, man.
God.
Yeah.
That's got to be a little bit like my experience of seeing the feature version of Yorotsky Doji in one of the Atlanta art house cinemas.
Oh, wow.
Well, I mean, it was like I think the screening started at something like 11:30 at night, and so you assume that the audience was mostly a collection of anime guys and the girls that they dragged along. Or at least that certainly would have looked like at that point. But then, of course, you get to that moment in the second third of the movie, the one where the guy has to replace the one thing with the demon thing. And it was I was pretty sanguine, but I was kind of there with most of the guys in the theaters, like, oh no, don't you do it, man! But you could hear all of their girlfriends giggling like crazy. So that was a fun theatrical experience. That's not one of the ones that I would put on my my trauma list. We've actually covered all of them. The one that was particularly jumping to mind was Under the Skin. The really weird one, the absolute outlier that sticks with me, and if any of you you all saw this at a similarly formative age and with a similarly sensitive upbringing, I guess, this may have actually hit for you guys in the same way. So the Ice Pirates.
Oh,
Never-
yeah.
Still
Never
haven't
seen
seen
it.
Don't
it.
know what that is.
You're
So
still
maybe we should put that on the
traumatized.
pile.
Generally
Oh.
inconsequential comic science fiction thingus fluff. Yeah, nothing terribly monumental, but there's this one scene where our guys, the protagonists, are making a getaway through essentially a space mall, and they're on motorcycles and that sort of thing. And there's this little family of robots. There's like 3 little robots holding hands, just going up one of the aisles, and one motorbike runs over one of them. And, the 2 remaining just absolutely panic. And then a moment later, another robot runs over the other one. And so there's this little robot just going, "Mommy, baby, mommy, babe." I cried for frickin' hours.
Wow.
Oh God.
I have a similar one along those lines. The shoe in Roger Rabbit, when it got melted,
Yeah.
it was hugely. Yeah,
It's a rough moment.
that was a very rough moment because that shoe
It's-
was so cute.
It is absolutely the formative ones that'll really stick with you. Like, yeah, you mentioned the Plague Dogs. I went into that movie not knowing what the hell I was getting at the age of 10. So,
I mean, I remember, didn't Christopher Lloyd have cartoon eyes in that?
Yeah.
At the
Yeah.
end, that fucked me up too. That was terrifying.
Literally staring daggers at Bob Hoskins in one scene.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's right.
Is it
I need
is
to
it
rewatch
literally
that.
staring daggers or staring literal daggers? Yeah.
I think either works.
True.
Hmm?
I got a couple of weird ones, and one that makes sense. Troll 2 is a big
Hey.
one for me, because the big scene that I'd seen, I didn't watch the whole movie. I saw the back half of it, but when they do the "you're eating my mom" part, and they're carving up the kid's mother as birthday cake,
They're eating her, and then they're gonna eat me.
and then they're
Oh
gonna eat
my
me.
god!
Fucked me up.
What did you think of the Tom Petty Alice in Wonderland? Don't come around here no more. Because that is also how that ends.
Well,
That was a pretty alarming video when it first came out. Yes,
they did it on Star Trek: The Next Generation as well. With there was an episode where Data was having weird dreams, and there was a cake of Counselor Troy, and he was cutting a slice out of her.
I remember that.
Yeah, she says something like, "Would you like a piece of me?"
Oh, since I have Ty here, do you remember an episode of G.I. Joe? It's something. The title is something Springfield, where one of the,
with the melting people?
yes, the melting people. I don't know the context, but that scared the shit out of me.
I won't do it here, but I do have a knack of finding those episodes. So, I might be able to send it to you. 'Cause, funny enough, on another stream I was in, someone was talking about G.I. Joe and a barbarian character, and to which I responded with, "Oh, Ramak," and she was like, "What? You actually know what I'm talking about?" I was like, "Yeah, he was a repainted He-Man figure for Cobra, and they had him in a Coliseum to fight Duke. It's a weird." That was stuff that
is
my
weird.
brain
It
kept
mattered
instead
to
of
you.
math.
You kept it.
Yeah.
Probably my biggest formative fuck up was when I saw Don't Look Now when I was 9 years old. It was an edited version. It was on USA Network, and I watched it on there. But spoilers for Don't Look Now. If you haven't seen it, run away from what I'm about to say. Just skip forward 30 seconds.
I haven't seen it, but go ahead.
Oh, no. I'll save it for the show then. We'll
There you go.
we'll
Oh,
do
is it on
Don't
your
Look
pile?
Now.
Okay.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you haven't seen Don't Look Now, that's another one of those significant.
Okay, I've
points
probably
where
seen
side-
it.
Fair warning, though, there is child endangerment in it.
Yes, there.
Mhm.
Well, okay.
It's
if
kind
I'm
of a central
warned,
plot point.
it might
Yeah.
be okay.
There's
But
Donald
maybe-
Sutherland in Endangerment as well.
Don't Look Now is one of your favorite movies, though, right? You actually
Yeah.
survived the trauma and came around to love it. See, where I couldn't do that with Raiders of the Lost Ark. That whole movie is just tainted for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things that really, really disturbed the shit out of me when I was little, like the first 2 Star Trek movies, specifically the transporter scene in Star Trek: The Motion Picture, the one where Commander Sonak and the other poor sod end up melting in a transporter,
Yep.
and of course the ear parasite from Star Trek 2.
Yeah, that was
Oh, yeah,
harsh.
classic.
Yeah, coming to those very young, thos'll mess you up. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's as I've said in the past, kind of like with my early trauma from the comic adaptation of Creepshow.
Mhm.
Again, another instance of somebody being a cake.
Oh, yes.
What kind of come around to these things. It's like I was terrified of horror movies when I was little, but beneath that terror was this absolute fascination to the point where I ended up, actively seeking him out on an almost constant basis as I got older.
Mm.
I actually have another one that might resonate with all of y'all. The Twilight Zone, the movie.
Okay, yeah,
Oh.
that movie will kick you around.
That was, whew, I mean, the beginning. I mean, Dan Aykroyd. Come on.
Scariest Dan Aykroyd ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then of course that kid that could like make anything happen. Oh God.
Yeah.
The Joe Dante
Ah.
segment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
Children,
that
the
segment.
true
But
monster.
then of course, going in, that a guy actually died making
Yeah.
it. That's that'll mess you up.
Yeah,
So-
in the
The
John
kid.
Landis segment, it was
Yeah.
two
Yeah.
kids, and what's his face?
Vic Morrow.
Vic Morrow, thank you.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
And they got decapitated by a helicopter that went
Mhm.
awry.
Mhm.
Terrible.
Yeah, and they left that film in, didn't they? I mean,
No,
No,
not the
no.
actual death footage.
oh, okay.
No,
I
no.
thought they actually used a little bit of it.
No.
Okay,
Mm.
good.
John Landis almost went to jail over that, and he
Yeah.
probably should have.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
oh well. Another classic one. The librarian goes from Ghostbusters. I know a lot of kids that got caught with that one.
You know what makes that one weird is it's such an unexpected image. Not that the ghost isn't gonna go, scary boo at you, but it transforms into some sort of an ape with an exposed brain.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait a minute, that doesn't even look like a person. What is going on here?
It's horrifying. Absolutely.
She's like
horrifying.
an extra dimensional librarian ape? What's happening?
Now that I think of it, Ghostbusters 2 scared the crap out of me. I
Yeah.
was afraid to take a bath for like months after that because
Aw.
of the scene where Sigourney Weaver's giving her baby a bath, and you see the pink slime come out of it, and it becomes a thing in the bathtub and tries to eat them, and that scared the crap out of me.
Mhm.
I'm going to have to allow after the first half of the miniseries version of It, I was afraid to go anywhere near anything with an open sewer line.
Aw.
I got over that after the second half because the second half was so underwhelming.
Yeah.
You know,
So that's a very short-term phobia in my past.
As far as disturbing films go, I'm very impressed. No one mentioned, like Lucifer Valentine or Harmony Korine. I'm very pleased.
Oh.
Some of those
seen
are ones.
either,
Some of
so-
those are just ones that we've been sort of scrupulously avoiding. Like I've got a copy of a Serbian film. I still haven't seen it. I've had it
Yeah.
for years, and I still haven't seen
I have a
it.
copy
Like
as
I
well.
say, you have a copy, and it's over there where you can keep an eye on
I
it.
think I have.
Yeah,
I think
like,
I have a torrented copy of it on my hard drive somewhere.
Yeah, no, I
See,
was
that
gonna-
one can move around.
I'm kind of in the same boat with the remake of Funny Games, mostly
Mhm.
because I saw the original Funny Games, and I'm told it's an almost shot-for-shot remake. So I've got a copy of it, and I've
Yeah.
had it since I think 2009, and I still haven't ever actually watched it.
I mean,
hate
it was
that
the same.
movie.
The same guy made both, right?
Haneke, yeah.
Yeah.
Have any of you seen Man Bites Dog?
yes.
Yeah.
Ages ago.
Yes.
That
think so.
is
It's been a while.
a
You want to
great.
talk about child endangerment?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, it is a great, funny, glorious film, and then it gets to a point where it just becomes awful. And
Yeah.
there's just it's going along, and it has its premise in there, which if you don't know is a very early. Let's have a reality show with a serial killer and the camera crew following a serial killer around doing his business. And then it just gets to a point where all of a sudden it becomes too awfully real. And it just stops being fun because I had intended to show that one for movie night for years. And I kept hitting that blockade. I'm like, I can't in good conscience have anybody in my group sit through that part. And
Yeah.
I was actually contemplating showing it, but with a fast forward button through that bit. And no, I never did.
I consider Man Bites Dog to be both brilliant and unwatchable.
Yeah.
Hmm?
I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah. It's an interesting film. I wouldn't say it's worth a watch because it hits so hard. But
Yeah.
and
I have-
especially child endangerment. If you have
Yeah.
anything,
Yeah.
a child gets fucking murdered in that movie, and they show
Yeah.
it full on.
Brutal.
And there's two others very similar in theme. I stumbled over The Eyes of My Mother.
Yes.
Ooh, that is a rough one.
We'll put him back.
That's yeah. Oh no, they don't put him back. um,
Like I said,
that
I'm still actively keeping some of these folks away from Possessor, the
yeah.
Cronenberg film as well.
I'd say Eyes of My Mother is worse than Possessor, but this is I mean, child endangerment, amateur surgery, incarceration.
lots of squick.
Yeah, and it's
A lot of squick in that
it
movie.
was very much a this looks good. Oh, this is very arty. This is okay. I'm not having fun anymore.
This is one of those movies that isn't for anybody.
Yeah. And the other
I
one
liked
is,
that movie.
Oh no, I actually thought I thought highly of it, and I have a copy of it. I don't know. It's not one of those ones that I revisit just for shits and giggles on a regular basis.
When I watch a movie, it actually goes into a bin for a rewatch where I go through commentary tracks and stuff like that. Eyes of My Mother has been in that bin for a long time now, and it may not be coming out. And the last one may actually ruin my reputation, because the other one I was going to quote would be Terrifier. Not Terrified, which we have reviewed here. The one with the clown.
Art the Clown, yes.
Yeah, and that
Art
is... I don't know anyone I would actually recommend that movie to, but I have to say, if it has a virtue, it is that it does not... It, like the 70s era horror films, when they were just figuring out how far they could push things, it does not feel like a safe film. You get a ways into the film and you're like, I don't know where this is going, and I don't feel like this is going to be a safe experience, whatever happens, however you define that.
There are some movies that are coming for you.
Yeah. And it kind of has, horror-wise, it has an interesting concept behind it, and it has an interesting twist on a couple of points in the film that genuinely surprise you, and it's still executed in a completely... I mean, unwatchable is a term. I'm not sure if I'd use it. I don't really have a better term. Way. So, and of course they're making a sequel.
Yeah,
Nice.
actually, I was about to mention that because I was working on a film shoot this past weekend, and one of the actresses from Terrifier 2 is going to be in it. She wasn't on set that day, but the director was really excited that he had someone who's going to be in Terrifier 2 who apparently is getting ready to pop. So I also don't know her name, but that was kind of exciting.
There are films one inherently approaches gingerly.
Yeah.
Especially when dealing with other people. Like, I love The Deadly Spawn, aka Return of the Aliens Deadly Spawn. But if you're not with people who are comfortable spending an hour and a half, like... because that movie will... Yeah, that movie will give you the butt willies, regardless.
Hey.
Mostly by virtue of the single nastiest alien creature design of the 80s.
There's a reason Swimming to Sea is carefully listed in the animation section. What is it called? Freevee now? IMDb's streaming thing.
Yeah.
South Korean CGI fish body horror movie for kids. Along the
kids.
Yeah, it's an example of what life is like inside of a fish tank in a fish market. But a very hard look at. If you remember when we watched Leafy, A Hen in the Wild, about the same hard look. Like, this is how meat processing works.
So like the fish tank section from Monty Python's Meaning of Life, right?
Yeah. There's a scene where one of the fish actually dies, and then a I thought it was a flounder, but they kept calling him flatfish. Actually comes up from the oxidizer to snatch the corpse and drag it under to the horror of the rest of the fish in the tank, who then start eating the flecks of fish that come up through the vent.
Oh, Lord.
Wow.
I don't think this is Y7.
Not the sequel to Tokyo Fish Attack we were expecting.
Yeah.
But what we deserved.
That itself being a pretty fucking rough movie.
I need to show this to Amelia.
I
She'd
kind of want
probably
to
love
see it too. I don't know what it is about that description, actually. let's do it.
It's part of a double feature of fish animated features I've been thinking about showing. It's Padak, Swimming to Sea, and Help, I'm a Fish, which features Alan Rickman as the villain.
I love him.
with a musical number.
Okay, I have no idea.
Hell
what
yes!
This is
Now
like.
I gotta see this.
I have no idea any of the background of this, but for some reason I feel like it must be related to a talking cat.
It is hand drawn animation. I should note that.
Oh, okay.
For the second one. First one is kind of a rough South Korean CGI, but it works for the subject matter.
Now, of course, all y'all understand, Ty likes getting you to watch things.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all know this.
Yeah.
The Slaughtered Vomit Dolls trilogy is a fantastic series, as long as you don't coincide it with Chowder Night. I don't know how that happened. I'm sorry.
We'll get to it right after East Market District.
But we got the deposit back, so
Well, on that, why don't we go ahead and take our break? We will be right back. And we're back. Next up, we'll be talking about The Platform, a film about a kind of prison that has countless levels and 2 occupants per room. Every day, food is delivered from a platform that appears at the center of the room briefly before descending to the lower levels. On this platform is food that does not make it to the lower levels. Goring awakens to find himself on one of the higher floors with his roommate Trimagasi. Do you like Allegory? Seriously, do you like Allegory? I hope so, because there's a mentioned fuck ton of it in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's just all over the place.
Talk about trauma. That movie fucked me up. I hated it. y'all discuss amongst yourselves. That's all I have to say. No, I'm sure there's more I have to say. But anyway, there you go.
I ended up really liking this movie.
I did too. By the end of it, I had been avoiding this.
I liked the first third of it, and then it kind of lost me after a while.
I can see that.
I think it's interesting. It's not actually a prison.
Yeah,
it's not clear what it is.
Yeah, because the main character's there to get a diploma. Somehow.
It's more like a social experiment that is just so completely overseen at a governmental level that it ends up producing theoretical or presumptive real world benefits to the people who actually make it out.
It's like Big Brother on crack.
Well,
I assume that they're all being filmed and people are watching this shit.
That assumes anyone
felt like
makes
a game
it out.
show.
Yeah, it's not really clear because our main character's supposed to be done at the end. Like, it was his last month, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
it was either last month or second to last. I thought he had another. I thought he had another month after the month on level 6.
Yeah,
I think he was supposed to.
Vertical Cube sucks.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. And you know what?
I was going to say this did make me want to hurry up and actually watch the Japanese remake of Cube. Fairly directly.
I did have the sinking
feeling.
I did have the sinking feeling like this was going to end the same way as Cube did, and it did.
Yeah.
It ends with the innocent character escaping, and we still don't know what the fuck is going on.
I'm sorry.
And I hated
Cube.
Cube.
Oh, I just figured out this isn't Cube. This is Line.
Oh.
This is a single-dimensional cube. It's just up and down.
To be clear on Cube, I went in expecting like a science fiction movie, and it was more of a horror movie. And this was back in my horror aversion days, so it just that's another movie that fucked me up. I wasn't expecting that going in.
Yeah, Cube has its failings. I really like it in theory, but there are sections of it that I think are chewing the scenery even more than I like. So
Cube might have been better with a buffet. I agree.
There was some actual food porn. I mean,
yeah.
Not when. Oh my God, what was the man who lived with Goring?
The fucking eating sounds that man produced.
Yes,
it sounded. It felt to me. Reminded me of
smacking garbage.
I know soft shell lobster isn't a thing, but that's kind of what the sound reminded me of. Like, not like soft shell crab because that's sort of small, but something meaty, but with that chitinous sort of shell on it is what it sounded like. No matter what, he looked like he was eating rice at times, and he was still making these horrible sounds.
I think he was supposed to be. He was cracking the bones. to get the
Yeah,
marrow
yeah.
out.
At the risk of
awful.
pulling the low hanging fruit pun wise.
Mm.
The Foley guys definitely made a meal of this.
I do love a pun, but that one stunk.
But the food preparation
Wow.
stuff kind of reminded me of like Jean Genet or like Terry Gilliam. It sort of had that feel before we really got into like the grit of what the prison was. So I was
Just off a thin mint.
All mixed together in a bucket, same as usual.
It got to that point. Like there were
Yeah.
a few levels where it was just like, is this food?
How is this movie not Korean? Okay, and I'll be honest. I genuinely thought it was Korean because so much of the when it comes up on Netflix, the images they had up there were not particularly revelatory of the characters in it, but you got a definite feel of the environment and sort of the lighting scheme and the general depressive industrial aspect of everything. I assumed it was Korean, and I was actually avoiding it because of what I thought I was getting into. But having been forced to watch it, I got to agree with Nate. I do actually really like this.
I really liked it as well.
Yeah, Jenner was grinning through the whole thing. I was just like, this is awful.
I mean, having established that the social allegory is very, very, oh my God, on the nose.
Yeah, you're not kidding. God,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
my first allegory.
Yeah.
Uh,
But I
Yep.
mean, it still manages to maintain attention, and it keeps zigging when I expect it to zag, and I was not expecting it to be that violent.
No, I wasn't.
I
either.
was.
I'm really more okay with that sort of thing, I think, than Jane is. But
yeah, no, the violence and the gross eating sounds and all the dirty food and people shitting on each
So-
other and pissing on the food.
They really
and
drop
stuff.
it
It's
on
like,
you without
God
you knowing.
damn,
Yeah.
I just know.
But
So
I mean,
is this the
there-
only cannibalism you haven't liked?
Yeah, no, actually, I did not because these people were just, completely alive and,
So it's
Ugh.
interesting to me.
I
how-
was fine with once they were dead. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, that's fine, but eating somebody alive? No, thank you.
It was interesting to me how quickly we got to cannibalism, because honestly, what I was dreading was that this was going to be an hour and a half and we end at cannibalism, and no, we got there within like 15 minutes.
yeah,
At which
Yeah.
point,
that's
it's like,
just shit
okay.
that happens on level 131.
at which point we're like, okay, where is this going from there? Because I mean, like I said before, you had cube. This is line. You have up, you have down. We have established the parameters. What are you going to do in this environment? And it turned out they found some things to do.
I love the low-key running joke of figuring out what people's thing that they brought with them was.
Yeah, that was great.
The
I
guy-
did like
Dude
that.
brought a katana!
No, the guy I can't get over is the one who brought the surfboard.
Surfboard.
Yeah,
What the
that
hell
was
did-
great.
what was he thinking?
I mean, a book is 100 times better than a surfboard. If we have to be honest, I think the book did kind of save him a couple of
I
times.
mean, he could eat
I
the
mean,
book, which he did. at
He did
certain
eat the
points.
Yeah.
book.
You can't eat a
Fiber.
surfboard.
And he also read to our psychotic cellmate.
Mhm.
Well, we also don't
And
know what
that
everybody's.
helped.
We don't know what everybody's in there for. Like the surfboard guy could have been, I don't know, going to be a surfing instructor or something somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So that could play into why people bring certain things. I don't know. They explain so little about things. They could have placed anything in those rooms just to make us wonder, and they might have had an
Mhm.
explanation for it. I don't know.
It is one of the low-key joys of the picture, as well as kind of sort of explaining the twist of the ending, but leaving that aside for the moment.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know Nate wanted to approach this a little bit more linearly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We've gone out 8 minutes on it already. We can just keep going.
Are you sure?
I mean, yeah, we start. We start out with Goring waking up on. I think it was level 27. Was it level 27?
41.
47 or
something?
48, I forget which.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
47
was
or
a good
48,
level because
which
they
is
were
the-
still food.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And that's where we find out that Goring brought Don Quixote. Trimagasi tries to get Goring to understand the place, but Goring's like, "No, I'm rebellious. I'm gonna,
Obviously.
I'm gonna be the good guy." And that's where, that to me is where the allegory really kicks in, really hardcore. They start going into the like, okay, yes, we need to redistribute our wealth. That's I think that's the
Yeah.
biggest message.
He
that
kind of
this
starts
movie
off
had.
as a do-nothing leftist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, specifically a communist. This is largely a communist allegory or a anti-communist allegory, if you like.
Certainly Marxist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Because
also supposed to be anti-capitalist as
Yeah.
well.
except
Yeah.
capitalism almost didn't enter into it.
Oh no,
I
this
mean,
was
there was
definitely
no-
trickle-down economics.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Yes, but it
like
was
when the
it was
administrator
trickle
got
down
involved.
it was trickle down economics, but you have to realize that none of it is driven by capital, and none of it is a structuring of people above one another for a reason. It's
Ye-
entirely randomly assigned and reshuffled. And what it's showing is that in the random happenstance of assignment, that is what leads to the despicable behavior on the people below you. That is what was explained by, I'm sorry, his name Terragasi? Who was the first?
Trimagasi.
Trimagasi. Trimagasi's first point was that we don't talk to the people above us. We don't talk to the people below us because they're below us. The people above us won't listen to us, and we don't talk to the people below us because they're below us. They can't do anything for us. And it's instructive that all of the people in this they're not being required to do anything except be there. They have an idealized idea of what could happen if everyone was generous, but the spontaneous solidarity
Yeah.
that is required for the system to quote unquote work
Yeah.
can't happen.
It feels
Remember?
absolutely like a massive sociological experiment,
Mhm.
and everybody almost instantly falling into those Milgram patterns most of the time.
Mhm.
I mean, all I heard, when he's rooming with the administrator or whoever she is, and she's trying to, talk to people, saying, "Eat what's on the plate." All I heard was, "Can you please just fucking wear your masks? Please just wear your masks."
Yeah.
That's what I was hearing, and
But it helps to understand that the one government person we see gets into the system. Every single thing she knows about the system is wrong.
Mhm.
There are no children in the system. There's only 200 levels, or did she say 250?
She said 200.
200.
She said 200?
Yeah, Goring
And-
thought it was 250.
Yeah, the things she knows about the system are wrong. And she believes, she believes herself a hopeless case. That's why she went into the system. She has cancer. She's lost the battle. She's going to die.
Her
And so
choice
she
of
goes,
object was deeply irresponsible.
It was.
Yeah,
You
that was a
do
very
not.
dumb
You
idea.
don't bring a book. She's
Remember-
all
but-
yelling that he shouldn't bring a book into there.
and
And what
Ramses
did
the
she
second
do?
is the message.
He
Before
was
the
so
tyranny- before the-
adorable.
Yeah,
He was so cute.
Yeah, but the second that dog came on screen, I was like, that thing's not gonna make it.
Yeah.
I
The-
know,
the
and
guy-
I was
That's somebody's
really
emergency
concerned.
food supply.
the guy even
Yeah.
says this is a sausage dog. It's
Sausage
more
dog.
sausage than dog, or something like that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
As a dachshund owner.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That must not have been fun.
No. Well, there's a wonderful website called Does the Dog Die?
Yes,
And
I've heard of that.
yeah, it's a wonderful resource that I have had to check for many a movie. So, little
So
push
you
for
knew.
that. No, I knew it was coming as soon as I saw a screen
Mhm.
capture of a cute dog, and it's like, well, if it's inside of a prison, clearly this dog is the main character, and he goes on happy adventures.
Aw.
Meanwhile,
That would be a
Different
very
around.
different movie. I would watch
Yeah.
that movie, but that is not this movie.
oh man, platform
Yeah.
dog's my favorite.
So how did everybody feel about Miharu as a character?
I was curious what everyone thought about that, because I'm not sure
Since-
what to make of her.
Since she is the one who ate the dog.
Mhm.
Which
And at least apparently the only other person who was irresponsible enough to bring another living being in as her object.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Did she?
That's sort of how I took the twist at the end. The way that the
But
kid
that's
was
the
there in the first place was that
That's the
Uh,
problem, though. She was
yeah.
looking for her son. That was
Yeah.
a girl.
Yes. That's
Oh.
what I was thinking.
When did
Okay,
they
so she
say
was
son?
just
Because
nuts.
I just heard them say the child. And in the
Maybe.
I don't
No,
remember them
she
saying
said
son
it was her
once.
son. No, yeah, I
She
know
said-
they said it was. She
Well,
was
she
looking for
doesn't
her son.
speak.
Yeah.
I mean, not
She doesn't
her.
speak
Yeah,
at all.
obviously.
Yeah.
But I
no,
was
it
pretty.
was his first roommate in introducing
Said
her
it was a
saying
boy.
that she's going up and down the complex looking for her son. He did
Yes.
specifically say son. Now, how he would know that?
Eh?
But see, he
I don't
probably
know.
Could be a little
might have
monkey
made a
telephone.
mistake. But then
Mhm.
again, you might be right that. Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it was supposedly a girl. It was a pretty child. But
I'm still
who
wondering a
knows
little
for
bit how the
sure.
kid managed to survive on level 333 in any case.
Because
Mhm.
it's an allegory.
Because it's an
Mhm.
allegory.
Yeah.
And
I'm-
there were 2 prisoners on each level, which means there were 666.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
your religious
Prisoners in
allegory.
total.
Yeah, my first allegory.
Mm.
Yeah, after
No, but
Uh,
as far as Miharu herself, my main thing is, I mean, she's an interesting plot device. She remains even the more we know about her, the more of a cipher she becomes.
Hmm. She is the traveler in it. She's the one who is witnessing everything else going on. She's part of it, which is an unusual thing for a cipher or a traveler to be. But
and both getting fucked up and fucking shit up on the way as well.
Mhm.
yeah.
I did not expect her character to end the way that it did.
No, I didn't either.
I
I
was
didn't
not
like
expecting anything so abrupt there.
No.
But I also didn't like them having her eat the dog because that didn't
Yeah, I hated that.
it didn't make logical sense in that they had the food on that level and she was up high enough that she came down. Like they were up on a pretty high level, weren't they, at that point? Him and the administrator?
yeah,
so.
it was like level 8.
wait, the administrator? No, they were far down.
It was
Didn't
like
he-
33 somewhere.
Wait,
around
yeah.
31.
Yeah, okay,
something
yeah,
okay.
it
like
was
that.
33 or so, yeah.
Enough that they had food constantly and they had enough
Oh,
food
that's right.
to give to the dog on every other day.
Alternate days.
And I kept
Yeah.
expecting that the dog, when they were like trying to save whoever, I don't remember, that I thought that the dog being on the platform, he was going to go down.
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I thought
somebody
that
was
was
going
gonna
to
happen,
hold
too.
him until they got hungry.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I took the dog eating to be a sign of her psychoses.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
the,
She
like
was
the
not
child
right.
wasn't
I mean,
real.
she expected to be the next, Marilyn
Oh.
Monroe or something.
Actually, no, we know what
How
her
they were
item.
going to make that happen, I don't know.
We know what her item was that she brought in. She
Unless
brought
it
in
was
a
actually,
Ukulele.
brought
brought in
Oh,
a
that's
ukulele.
right. That's
somehow.
right. Okay, so
Uh-oh, I don't hear
that being the
anybody.
case, I have no idea where the kid came from.
Yeah, I didn't think the child was real after that point. So when the child was revealed, it was like,
Oh, whoops.
how do we know that's even there?
Mm. I mean, you have a point. It's also a little bit disingenuous, their journey down, because they act like it's a great long time, but I worked it out. If it's 333 levels and the platform descends in a day, that's only 4 minutes on each level. So they're only on that platform for a day, riding it down. And yeah, they're having a fight on each floor, but the first 51 floors. But acting like it was a great grand trek that, I mean, it felt like they must have been doing that for days and days and days, but no, it was one day. They've established the rules here. They need to play by them.
Well, I mean, at the same time, we live in an age when very often it feels like a heroic quest just to go to the freaking store.
Mm.
So, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff just under the surface in this movie. And a lot of stuff that we're still kind of parsing at this point as well.
Well, I feel like where the movie lost me. I did really enjoy the first 2 roommates. Basically, after the administrator died, not for any specific reason, but I like the premise, I like the setup, but I felt like they didn't know what to do. They didn't know what the story was going to be, so they were like, well, let's just explore what the horrific possibilities for this scenario are, and that's why they go through all the different levels. That's why they ride through. So I kind of felt like after a while they just kind of ran out of stuff to say, and like maybe this would have worked better as a short or something.
It was based on a theatrical play, on a play.
Oh,
A stage play?
that would have been,
A stage
an
play, yeah.
interesting stagecraft. I wonder I wonder if they traveled on the platform in the play, because I could see this
I
this
doubt
makes
it.
for a very easy to stage play if they just stay on one floor and then just somebody comes out and changes the number on the wall
Yeah.
between
Yeah.
acts.
I
you
would
know.
bet money that the play is him and Trimagasi, and then he kills and that's it. Those are the two characters.
And
It's
we
like-
get to cannibalism, and that's the end, which is what I was expecting.
Yeah.
So it's basically waiting for Godot with the buffet in front of them.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's what I
musical
would
numbers. Musical numbers would have really added to this, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
guess. Mm.
I like the whole story of the Samurai Plus. That was maybe the only thing I really liked. And that dog was really cute until they killed it and ate it. But anyway.
Trimagasi was a very interesting character. It's probably worth stressing how good the acting is in this.
It was.
Mhm.
For all I kind of took our lead at the very beginning, Yvonne drawing a complete blank on his last name. My first impression was, oh, bastard child of John Turturro and Adrian Brody. But no, he
Yeah.
ended up actually a very impressive performance. As a guy who's a little bit of a cipher even to himself, I think. He kind of didn't know what he was doing, and he's like, well, this is a thing that I could do. I've been meaning to quit smoking and read Don Quixote, so...
Yeah.
And he looks like Don Quixote, or at least in. Yeah. Which,
Your
Some of
mental
that, yeah.
image.
yeah.
No, I
But-
can see that.
Well, I mean, one of the layers of Don Quixote was, the Don Quixote himself being a rich man who's living a fantasy, and Sancho Panza as the poor man who's just kind of going along for the ride. Like those aren't giants, man. Those are windmills. But you go off, King. And meanwhile, in this, he's going through his own journey where he's. If I can go through, and if we together by force make them share this food, we can fix the system. But once you exert force in the system, you validate that you are now trying to control a system that cannot be controlled.
Yeah.
And that's where when the goal finally becomes getting up to what was it, level 0?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
Getting
Yeah.
something.
Panna cotta.
at the level,
Yeah, chef.
Panna cotta or the baby or whatever.
There was a lot of dessert on that table. It seemed to be a
Yeah.
very
There
large
was.
proportion of the food. It doesn't seem.
Well,
it's-
it was everybody's
Favorite
favorite.
food,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Mm.
right.
Yeah, no, there is, and this is possibly worth emphasizing to the folks at home. There is a major sidecar of humanity is fucking fucked in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said at the when we signed off last time, be prepared to hate humanity.
Yeah.
In particular, the couple who shit on his third roommate,
Yes.
Oh yeah, they were horrible.
They were.
Baharat.
Yeah.
But because they were above him,
Mm-hmm.
they felt like it was their right.
Yeah.
They can do it.
Didn't someone
There's-
say shit doesn't go up or something like that? I mean, we've all
Yeah.
heard the
Yeah.
term shit rolls
Shit upward.
downhill. So
I can't.
Well, he did
that
like
was when
threaten to shit on the food. Yeah.
Right. He said he was gonna mix shit into all of the food, so they couldn't eat anything unless they obeyed what he was yelling at them. And then he said, "I have no power above us because I can't shit up." So
Which was a great line.
It
Mhm.
was
Credits to-
actually.
Yeah. Yeah. I liked the film in spite of itself. I think a lot of the allegory was silly in a lot of ways, but
It
I
was.
was along for the ride. I really liked the acting. I liked the staging of it.
Oh yeah, it is a fantastically executed film. Whatever you may think about,
the
well,
message.
frankly, the content.
I absolutely agree. It was fantastically executed. It looked great. I mean, it was well done. I still hated it. That's it. I still hated it. I
Well,
mean,
there are certain things which we just can't get over in a movie if
Yeah.
they do them. Like for me, infidelity in a movie usually is something that I can't stand.
yeah, I don't
Mostly
like
on a
that either.
creative level. 'Cause I'm like, come on.
Do you feel
Everybody
they do it
cheats.
badly, or they?
I think it's
that
always
done
done
badly?
badly. I
Mm.
think it's cynical. I think it's a very cynical plot device because it's either done for laughs or done to push a character in a certain direction. It's the same as the death of the female character to push the action hero into a certain direction. It bugs the shit out of me. Stupid.
We all have our hang-ups.
Yeah.
But I get it. I totally understand it.
That was more of last week's tropes discussion, but no, that's a fair one.
This one actually, yeah, this has a couple of tropes. Like, it had one of my favorites. It had the wise old black man.
It
Yeah.
it did. He
it
was in a wheelchair and everything.
It was a well executed trope in that case. I mean,
Yeah.
it was, as soon as he arrived on that level, I'm like, okay, I know what's going to happen in this scene. But it was very well acted.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
yeah,
yeah.
but see, I was so cynical that I was like, oh gosh, wise old, gentleman, and I did not like anything he had to say. I was like,
he was
the whole thing about saving the panna cotta.
Yeah, he
I
was
don't
taking
understand that.
He was taking a very specific mission that had a very distinct practical function and convincing them to turn it into something more symbolic.
Yes, and I did not care for that.
Yeah,
I thought you
I
are
don't
going
know
way
if that's
too
a good
far.
idea either. Honestly, I don't.
I mean, I think they would.
It
I think
turned it into a religious quest practically,
think
and I didn't like it.
the people up top would just be like, okay, some weirdos must have just protected this panna cotta all the way to the bottom. For what? Whatever. All right, next day, let's keep on going. I mean, I don't see what that would have meant
I
to
think
them.
At least the little baby got something to eat. That mattered. And then she got a nap.
They mentioned that they believed that the wait staff didn't have anything to do with the administration. That they thought if they got to the wait staff that I don't know how they knew that there was wait staff.
There's a lot of reaches
Somebody
in
had
the
to fix the food.
logical process of the last third. I will freely
Yeah.
allow.
Which,
Yeah,
I mean,
in spite
I
of
would have
itself.
I would have expected some of that to at least make sense on an allegorical basis, and I don't think it really did that either. I mean, when we come down to the very end of the film, what did you think of the very end of the film, either their plan or how it was executed?
I thought it was kind of silly as an ending.
I feel like they just needed to end it somehow. I feel like they didn't really know where to go with it and thought, well, let's just put a child and send her up. Sure, let's have the innocent escapes kind of trope, and
then they-
whatever
but
that
they
means
also
in this
have-
context.
But they didn't give us that ending. I mean, they just gave us hope. I mean,
Yeah.
there's nothing worse in the world than a little hope.
You
So
gotta-
they
That
threw
is
us a little
torture.
religious allegory by having him die and walk off with Trimagasi as like.
But did
Yeah.
he die?
I think
I
that
don't
was
know.
He was seeing
symbolic of
Trimagasi
him dying.
everywhere anyways, so I
Yeah.
don't
I
know
think
if he
we were
necessarily
pretty
died.
much assuming that this was the end of the road for him.
And I figure if he just waited 24 hours, he could get back on the platform and ride up himself.
Which made no sense to me that
Yeah.
he decided not to just ride up with her. Like
Yeah.
it was some kind of grand gesture to do this, and
Yeah.
it would prove
Well,
the point.
That's what I was trying to figure out why they did that. In the end, it only made sense on an allegorical point because I think they kept saying, the panna cotta is the message, the panna cotta. No, the girl is the message. The girl is the message. I think it was supposed to be that the next generation is the message,
And you have
that
to
we
step
send the
aside.
child forward. You step aside, and your influence on the child and your nurturing the child to then do something to the system, take it apart, fix it, whatever. I think that was supposed to be the allegorical message at the end, but this kind of comes back to my whole point about the whole trip on the platform took one day. You're right. He could just wait for the next one. They've got a lot of practice now in fasting. He could just wait for the next one to come down and get on there. And come to think
You're
of
right,
it,
and I hate it.
if they're just restored to their same level, they could do it again tomorrow, and then everyone would get fed, except that they run out of food by about floor 300 or so. So, mechanistically, it doesn't make sense, and it can only make sense allegorically. And you're right, it is Baby's first allegory. That, the children are our future is the actual final message of the film.
And I found myself at the ending as much as anything wondering about how fast does the thing decelerate when it gets up toward the top?
Yeah.
And at the same time,
I don't think
it is an apparently supported platform that is going up and down in the first place. So I'm actually kind of not worried about conservation of momentum particularly.
Yeah, especially like the way they can heat up or freeze a room when the rooms are that close together in one vertical column. How can they
Right.
just burn
There
up
is
a
some
room?
definite manipulation of the forces of the
Okay.
universe here.
Yeah.
I don't. Weirdly enough, it gives me a little bit of a hope that the chamber at the bottom of the place is so clean. Maybe there's a way out there after all.
It's the
I
pit of hell.
spent too much time thinking about this, and I think I know how the platform moves.
Oh no.
Okay.
They're in a rail gun.
Prison
So one way-
railgun sounds
Nice.
really metal.
Yeah, no. If
That
they
would
have a
probably
if they have a continuous coil of wire wound around the entire structure, they could heat or freeze any floor they wanted to. And if they just lower the platform, which has embedded metal in it, magnetically through each floor and then fire it back up again, they're living in a railgun.
Yeah, magnets, bitch.
I like
would
it.
probably affect metal implements people actually brought with them. Otherwise, I really like the idea.
There were no silverware on the table.
There
But
was
they've
a
got swords
katana.
and knives
Point.
everywhere.
Oh, that
and
is true.
And
Okay.
crowbar or
Ah,
poles
damn
Yeah,
or
it.
whatever.
the Samurai Plus is
No,
gonna.
I like your thought process here.
I'm willing to agree with this process just for the sake of enjoyment, especially
Yeah.
if there was a scene where they launched the child into orbit. At the end. Like the reveal at the end is that's how they clean the table. Is they just
That's how that kitchen chair ended up on Europa.
like there is no message. Everything needs to be flung into space. Capitalism. And then all the economy teachers march into the sea, never to be seen again.
All right. Well, does anybody have any final thoughts on the platform before we leave? For
My final
the night?
thought was the railgun, so I'm done.
Yeah,
It's a good one.
it's a
I
good
mean,
one.
I didn't hate it
How
as
do
much
you
as
follow
Jane did,
that?
but I don't feel the need to ever watch it again. I mean, I'm glad I watched it. It's been on my list for a while, and there were things to like about it. It was very well made as well.
I actually really
It was
liked
beautiful,
it.
but I hated it. Go ahead. Sorry.
I will qualify to our audience who hasn't seen it yet, if they still feel the need to. It is much more violent than we have let on. I think.
Oh yeah, it's gross.
It like
Yeah.
like I say, even allowing for the cannibalism. Just cannibalism is just a word. The reality is far worse.
On
I
that,
was fine with him eating the dead bodies. Was the eating people alive slowly,
Or fresh
one
and
strip at a
unprepared.
time? Yeah.
Yeah.
Raw.
Oh.
Rough butchered people.
you guys
Yeah.
are making me hungry.
Yeah.
Hey,
Alright.
Ravenous is a fantastic movie. If you
It
ever
is.
Isn't it
Yes,
though?
it
We
is.
did it
Yeah,
for
we've done
the
that
one.
we did
Yep.
that one for the
I
show.
love that movie.
Yeah.
Man eats the flesh of another, gains his power. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
That was really sneaky.
All right. I think that's going to do it for us here on What's on the Pile. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter at What's on the Pile. You can find us on YouTube under the Punch Bunny YouTube channel, or you can visit our website, whatsonthepile.com. Ty, where can we find you?
Bastards of the Universe. You can find us on Facebook at Bastards of the Universe, on Twitter at Bastard House, and of course, twitch.tv/Bastards of the Universe. We're on every Thursday at 8:30, give or take. And, we're watching trailers, all the latest trailers for the week, and animated features, or in some cases, live action. So,
Awesome. It's a great show. Everybody should tune in. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us. Thanks for hanging out.